Introduction: The Two Minds Within Us. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, presents a revolutionary look into how humans think. He divides our thinking into two systems. System 1, which is fast, intuitive, and emotional, and System 2, which is slow, deliberate, and logical. This book isn't just psychology. It's a tour into the machinery of our thoughts, biases, decisions, and ultimately, our lives. Kahneman draws from decades of cognitive and behavioral research to show how these two systems shape our judgments and decisions, often without us even realizing it. Part 1. Two Systems. Lesson: Your brain has two characters, constantly in dialogue: intuition and reasoning. System 1 operates automatically, using shortcuts called heuristics to make sense of the world quickly. It helps us make snap decisions, recognizing faces, reading emotions, or responding to danger. System 2, on the other hand, is effortful. It kicks in when we're solving math problems, planning our finances, or checking facts. Most of our daily actions are governed by System 1, but when things get complex or unfamiliar, System 2 must take over. Yet here's the twist: System 2 is lazy. It often accepts what System 1 tells it without checking. This is where many of our cognitive biases begin. Part 2. Heuristics and Biases. Lesson: We think we're rational, but our brain uses mental shortcuts that often mislead us. Kahneman explains heuristics like the availability heuristic, where people judge the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. For instance, after hearing about plane crashes in the news, we might fear flying more, even though car travel is statistically riskier. Another powerful bias is anchoring. If you ask someone whether Gandhi was more than 144 years old when he died, then ask for his actual age at death, their answer will be biased toward the absurd number they just heard. The representativeness heuristic causes us to ignore probability. If someone is quiet and loves reading, we might assume they're a librarian, ignoring the base rate that far more salespeople exist than librarians. We're not rational calculators. We're emotional creatures with flawed shortcuts. Part 3. Overconfidence. Lesson: We often trust our intuition too much, and it leads us astray. People are more confident than correct. Kahneman calls this the illusion of validity, when people are sure of their judgment, even in the face of contradictory evidence. One example is stock traders who believe they can beat the market consistently, despite data showing most can't outperform index funds over time. The planning fallacy is another trap. We underestimate how long tasks will take, even when we've experienced delays in the past. We ignore historical evidence and trust our optimistic projections. Confidence is not a sign of accuracy. It's often just the voice of a dominant System 1, unchecked by a lazy System 2. Part 4. Choices. Lesson: How we frame decisions changes the decisions themselves. This section dives into prospect theory, Kahneman's groundbreaking work with Amos Tversky. Unlike traditional economics, which assumes humans are rational, prospect theory shows how we actually make choices. People fear losses more than they value equivalent gains, called loss aversion. Losing $100 feels worse than gaining 100 feels good. This explains why people resist change, why they hold on to bad investments, and why they buy insurance. Framing matters. If a disease treatment is described as saving 90 out of 100 lives, it feels better than saying 10 out of 100 will die, even though both are identical. This shows how emotional language and context deeply affect our decisions. Part 5. Two Selves. Lesson: There's a difference between experiencing happiness and remembering happiness. Kahneman introduces the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self lives in the moment. The remembering self constructs the story afterward. And here's the surprise: it's the remembering self that makes our decisions. This means we often make choices not based on what felt good, but what will look good in memory. A vacation with a rough ending might be remembered, worse than one that was okay throughout, even if the first had more moments of joy. Time and endings matter more to memory than to experience. This distinction explains everything from our career choices to how we value money, relationships, and milestones. Key takeaways from the entire book. 1. Trust intuition, but verify it. Intuition works in familiar situations. In newer complex settings, slow down and let System 2 think. 2. Be aware of biases. Anchoring, availability, overconfidence, and framing are not just academic terms. They shape our life decisions every day. 3. Losses loom larger than gains. Understand your emotional response to loss and frame your risks wisely. 4. The remembering self dominates. We chase memories, not just moments. Design experiences and choices with this in mind. 5. Rationality is rare. Being aware of your mind's tricks is the first step toward clearer thinking. Closing summary. Thinking Fast and Slow isn't just a book about psychology. It's a guide to understanding why we think the way we do and how we can think better. Kahneman doesn't ask us to become robots. He asks us to become aware of our instincts, our biases, and the silent influences that guide our lives. By understanding the two systems in our mind, we can make better decisions, lead more deliberate lives, and craft stories we'll want to remember.